Opened the Barak, read two sections, brain shut down, and Barak closed and doing something else. This happens with most of the law students. Hi everyone, my name is Darshana Mishra and welcome to Law True. So in this video, I'm going to discuss that how to read Baraks. And no, I'm not going to tell you that you have to read 10 times a particular Barak in order to understand what's written in a particular statute. So I'm going to share with you all a 3 practical step method using which you can easily read and understand what's mentioned in a Barak. And after viewing this video, you'll not be able to you will not say that reading Baraks feel impossible, because it is not impossible. It's like very much possible. It's very easy. And if you use these 3 practical methods, you'll be like, I'm assuring you that in you will master the art of reading a Barak by using this method and referring to not more than 2 statutes. So this is my take on it. So let's start with this video. So yes, step number 1, map before you read. This seems to be something very odd, but see, when we go to law schools, they tell us you have to start with section 1, go through the definition clause, understand all the definitions, and after that move ahead with the statute. But no, why you have to start with section 1 when you do not know why this particular statute is enacted? What is the reasoning behind it? So understand the reasoning, the history behind a particular enactment of a statute. So let's say if you have opened a Barak which is related to Information Technology Act 2000. So if you are like reading the Barak of IT Act, so first go through its preamble, understand the reasoning why this particular act is enacted, why the legislature felt the need to make a law on information technology, and understand the reasoning. After you have gone through the preamble, go to the index of the Barak. Go through the index, check all the chapters that are there, check how many sections are there, see whether there are schedules or not, and what else can be there. Just go through the Barak, the index of the Barak. After that, you'll be able to understand that why this particular statute exists and how many these much sections are there. And see, even if you see more than 400 sections in a particular Barak, do not get afraid of it, because even a 400 sections Barak is very easy to understand, because you just have to be in a right approach, right way to understand it. So yes, so you have gone through the preamble, the index of the Barak, and after that, just come to step 2. Step 2 is, you have gone through the preamble, you have gone through the index of the act. Now you can start with the definition clause or with any of the chapter of your choice. See, when you go through the preamble, you understand why this particular statute is being enacted. So let's say Information Technology Act. So you understand that information technology are very important words. These are keywords. So what is this? Understand its meaning. Go through the definition clause if the definition of these words is present. Understand it. If not, then you can refer to General Clauses Act, or you can also refer to a book if you have any reference book to it. After that, start with the definition clause. Go through all the definitions, not one by one, but the important one, just as you're turning pages, analyze what words are mentioned, because these are some keywords which they define, because these words serve a very important purpose in the book. That is why they have been defined initially, right? So just go through it. Do not read it. Do not understand what's mentioned there. And then you can start with your section 2 or section 3, whatever is the starting section from where the statute is, the things of the act are mentioned. Okay. So now you have to, this method is known as fast reading method, which means you do not have to read the entire statute in once. You have to just, scan it. Go read once, lightly read. Do not make your brain to understand that whether you are understanding or not. Just scan whatever is mentioned. Go through once. Read like a novel. Read like a novel. Just go through all the sections. Not all the sections, but pick one chapter at one time and just go through it. And after that, come again from whatever section. Let's say if chapter 1 starts with section 3, so start with chapter 3 again. So in the second time, you have to read it like something you're understanding. You might understand its reasoning or purpose, or even something very basic, that this particular court has the right to take cognizance or jurisdiction over to take this in case of particular offenses, something of that sort. Whatever is mentioned, I'm not right now referring to a statute. So yes, after that, you have to come to your reference book, or you can search it on any searching tool, and search about the landmark judgments if there are any. See, in the Barak also, in some Baraks, if your Barak contains notes and comments, so it will explain a particular section along with the landmark judgments also. So if you have some Baraks like that, so you can refer to those notes and comments that are attached to the Barak. But if not, in that case, you have to use some external source. Maybe it might be a book, or it might be some searching tool. So search about it, understand about it. And yes, in these 2 readings, you'll be able to understand what this particular chapter is trying to convey, what is its reasoning. And this is what we are aiming right now. You have to understand the reasoning. because this is something which is very important. You need to understand what a statute is trying to convey, what is its reasoning, why this particular things are mentioned in a particular statute. So yes, you have understood, you have done the step 2. Now step 3 is decoding legal language. So see, uh, statutes are not that hard, but it's languages. Its language is not made of some flowery words to make you like feel happy when you read a particular statute. See, its purpose is different. It is made to clear or explain the stand of law, where the law stands, what is its footing of a particular case, let's say, whatever it is. So yes, for that matter, they use words, very heavy words, to explain their points. And also the legislature writes it in a way so that it can prevent future litigation, at least on the words of what is mentioned in the statute. So yes, it's written in that way. And these things they teach us mostly in I have studied this interpretation of statutes in my 8th or 7th semester, if I'm not wrong. So yes, if your college teaches in you this subject very initially, so you will understand the entire reasoning behind how to read a Bear Act and how to start reading it, which we understood very late. So yes, so I'm going to discuss 5 words which are specifically mentioned in all of these statutes, and they serve very different purpose. So the word number 1 is notwithstanding, which is wherever notwithstanding is mentioned, it means that this particular section has overriding effect over whatever is mentioned after notwithstanding. So I have to read the notwithstanding whatever is mentioned after that. So this means that wherever notwithstanding is mentioned, that particular section or clause will have overriding effect over others, which means if there is a fight between this particular section and some other section in which let's say the statute says notwithstanding whatever is mentioned in section 32 of, let's say, XYZ Act. So here this particular clause will win against the section 32 of the Act. So this is what notwithstanding means. Now second is subject to. Subject to means you are subjecting your particular section to some other section or clause or act. And in that case, if a fight happens between this particular clause and that particular act, section or clause, so that other section, clause or act will win and our subject to, which means this particular clause, will lose. So this is what subject to means. Now third word is shall and may. Shall means mandatory and may means discretion. So wherever shall is mentioned, that particular clause section becomes a mandatory clause. And whosoever's duty it might be, or whatever the statute says according to it, you have to understood it. I hope like I'm clearing my points here. And may means discretion as per the section, that it is this particular section clause is not mandatory. Now fourth is proviso. Proviso is provided that, which is like exception to the main part, or whatever is mentioned in the main part. Means let's say section 1 states something, and it's after section 1 it is mentioned in the same section that provided that, so which means it is exception to section 1. So whatever is mentioned in section 1, exception is mentioned right below it. So yes, proviso means that. Now fifth is illustrations. Illustrations are like free examples. This clears the reasoning behind the law. And see, illustrations mentioned in Contract Act, TPA, which is Transfer of Property Act, and your Evidence Act, which is now BSA, the illustrations mentioned therein are very important, and these are sometimes used directly in the papers. So if you're aiming for some competitive exams, so go through the illustrations of at least of these statutes, and if in any statute illustrations are provided, just go through it. Those are like very important part of your statute. So yes, so this was step number 3. After doing all these 3 steps, I think you will be able to understand that what this particular statute is all about, why these particular sections are mentioned here, and what purpose they are serving. After that, see, if you read it like this way, you will understand it. But if you do not apply it, how will you remember it in a long run? So for that matter, after a few days, let's say after 1 week, come again to your statute. If you started with the Bear Act, you cannot, if you study daily, even then you cannot complete it if it's a big statute like, let's say, BNSS. You cannot complete it in 1 week, right? So you have to revise what you have studied earlier. So you can make notes for that matter. You can write in your Bear Act why this particular, what you understood about that particular section or clause or whatever it is, for illustrations also. So in that way, you will understand it. And revising is very important, because if you do not understand, if you do not revise, you will forget it. So yes. So this was all about how to read a Bear Act. And also, I feel that this video might give you some advice on how to read a Bear Act. If you use these 3-step methods, you'll be able to understand how to read a Bear Act. And it is something which you have to develop by practicing. So yes, practice, I think, daily, because what else you can do when you have Bear Acts, read and from where only your laws are made. So yes, practice it. And yes, do let me know in the comment section if you want me to like practically show you using a video how to read and underline and what are important parts of a Bear Act. Because I think while I was speaking about how to read bare acts, I felt that there are many things that need to be explained, and for that matter I need to make a new video. So if you all want that, please want that video, please let me know in the comment section and I will make a video on that as well. And yes, please do let me know how was this video, and if you have any question, any doubt, please ask us in the comment section, or you can also mail us. We have attached our mail also. Yes, so thank you so much for watching our video. I'll come again with some other video. Thank you.